Masculinity theory is a subfield of cinema studies that explores the portrayal of men in films, how films influence society's perceptions of masculinity and the effects of it on individuals and culture. Gaining attention in the late 20th century, masculinity theory coincided with the rise of feminism and increased awareness about gender issues. Strong male protagonists often exhibit a combination of physical, emotional, and intellectual traits, such as physical strength, bravery, leadership, and perseverance, often perceived by audiences as the embodiment of an ideal man or what a man should aspire to be. Iconic characters such as James Bond and Captain America often embody specific characteristics associated with traditional masculinity. In subgenres like superhero films, male protagonists are often depicted as physically fit, muscular, and seemingly flawless. They often appear in form-fitting costumes with at least one shirtless scene to emphasize their manhood. Such portrayals reinforces the idea that physical strength and attractiveness are essential to be a man. During the 1960s and 70s, when the second wave feminism movement took place, women fought for gender equality and challenged traditional gender roles and expectations. This era was when gender roles were being discussed more broadly and socially. Societal expectations such as the pressure to be dominant, unemotional, or just the man of the house heavily contributed to gender inequality. In the 1980s, Australian sociologist Raewyn W. Connell published the concept of hegemonic masculinity to explain men's power over women and their dominant roles in society, highlighting how certain forms of masculinity maintained social hierarchies and how masculine ideals were socially constructed and reinforced. Connell's work has significantly broadened our understanding of masculinity by drawing attention to its expression and effects. She questioned long-held assumptions and worked to promote a more complex view of gender roles in her day. Her ideas have allowed for more informed discussions about gender roles and solidified her status as an important figure in this area of study. Even now, during early childhood, boys are told to conform to societal expectations of traditional masculinity. Characterized by attributes such as strength and independence, popular phrases like "boys don't cry" reinforces the idea that expression of emotion is a sign of weakness and goes against traditional masculine norms. In recent years, there has been growing acknowledgement and criticism of the unrealistic portrayal of masculinity in films, with filmmakers actively challenging the concept of traditional masculinity to advocate for healthier and more realistic depictions in film. Two films that have been associated with masculinity theory are Fight Club and American Psycho. In a more accurate representation of society, David Fincher's Fight Club, adapted from the book by Chuck Palahniuk, examines masculinity through the eyes of an unnamed narrator and his alter ego, Tyler Durden. The film portrays disillusioned modern men who feel undervalued by a materialistic society. The protagonists create Fight Club, an underground anarchist men's support club to reassert their authority and identity. Nevertheless, the film delves into a somber tone when the repercussions of unchecked hypermasculinity becomes more evident. The movie aims to mirror the problems with the current state of manhood, highlighting issues with materialism, individualism, and male solidarity, which are explored in the film. Strange themes and unreliable storytelling reflect the protagonist's shattered mental state. Notable features in Fight Club include the untrustworthy narrator, toxic masculinity, and anti-consumerism. Society has criticized the film's hypermasculine protagonists and their disintegration of conventional masculine themes. American Psycho was directed by Mary Herron and was adapted from Bret Easton Ellis's book American Psycho. Set in the 1980s, the protagonist Patrick Bateman is a successful Wall Street investment banker who is secretly a sadistic, psychopathic serial killer. The film portrays what sets Bateman apart from other men can be described as an unhealthy relationship with power, fame, and attractiveness, while exemplifying the notion of toxic masculinity.
Oh, but also the idea that these guys are so obsessed with the minutiae of status that they're basically having breakdowns over such tiny things.
An economic boom, social movements, and materialism characterized the 1980s era in America, and Bateman is an extreme embodiment of the values and characteristics of this era.
When I started reading, I thought, oh, this is like, early Evelyn Waugh. It's clearly, very black comedy of manners, making fun of a crazy society. And I had sort of mixed feelings, real love-hate feelings for the late 80s. And I thought Brett had caught something about it that no one else had.
Through examining Bateman's madness, the film parodies the consumerism of its period. Obsessing over his appearance, clothes, and his meticulously curated image, Bateman outright expresses his disapproval of the social factors that contribute to his distorted self-perceptions due to the frequent aggressive behaviors and detachment from reality, which contradicts conventional ideas about successful masculinity.
I think there were things that I thought were crystal clear in the book, that it was a critique of male behavior.
Right.
That maybe, a woman was, I think almost definitely a woman was better at bringing
Because
out.
no one was more outraged about this than feminists, I guess.
That's right.
Fair enough, yeah.
Well,
So
you think serial killers would be, but no, I mean, it was more or less feminists were the most outraged.
Both American Psycho and Fight Club actively examine the cultural context of their respective eras, especially highlighting themes like consumerism and materialism by asking questions and deconstructing conventional ideas of masculinity within a large societal framework. Topics such as toxic masculinity, societal expectations, and identity crises are explored in both films. The characters' inner conflicts are both intensified by the materialistic and conformist aspects of society, which are both openly criticized. Both films have had controversies due to audiences misinterpreting the intended themes and messages and failing to grasp the satirical nature of the films.
It felt to me that it was kind of a blunt instrument in the way that Chuck was wielding it, and it was a cautionary tale about what to do with the anger that's engendered by your disenfranchisement. But the fact that it's been misinterpreted by people whose point of view I couldn't really imagine is alarming.
Nevertheless, both American Psycho and Fight Club have made a significant impact on conversations about the challenges and opportunities presented by modern masculinity.